Hello, everybody, and welcome to the pilot episode of the Compile podcast. My name is Nick Wu, and I will be the host of this podcast. Um, so, to give a short introduction of everything, Compile is a new podcast that I'm starting, a show where two programmers talk about anything and everything. So, the name Compile is actually to give a little bit of a background, a play of the word. Programming wise, I think many of us know that it means to translate your source code into machine code, which then can be run. And there's also another meaning of compile, which is, and I quote, to put together or compose from materials gathered from several sources. And that is, vaguely speaking, what we are going to do on this show. Each episode will have a topic, and the goal of the show is to compile the topic down into a list of essential points for our listeners. Each guest will have their own list to compile, so then we don't always have to agree on each other. And it's going to be fun. Of course, this is our pilot episode, and um, the uh, the recording might be less than ideal, but we'll see about that. So a little bit of introduction about myself. My name is Nick Wu. I'm a developer based in London, in UK, and most of my stuff that I've done web development. Although I've done a little bit of mobile stuff as well. Um, that being said, I'm just out of university, so everything I know is probably not as polished as a more experienced developer would agree. Um, Above that, there's not much more I can think of to say, but we've got this cool thing, which is a speed run. Consists of a few questions just to sort of identify myself in terms of the developer spectrum. This is what will be happening to our guests normally, but I guess I'm doing it now as a test run. Uh, so here we go. Question one: most favorite programming language. For me, it's gonna be Java. I understand some people might disagree because of how verbose everything is, and personally, I've used it for most of my actual work, and it's one of the first languages I picked up, seriously. So it's hold up pretty well. So that's my favorite language. Least favorite programming language. There's a tie between C and uh, I don't even know if MATLAB is a proper language, but I'm not gonna say C or MATLAB. And uh, before I lose more audience, I want you to know that I am very pro Unix. It's just I don't like writing uh, raw pointers and dealing with all the memory leakage and all that stuff. Uh, I know it's very efficient if you do it well, but based on my experiences, I can't do it well. So there's that. Next question: Windows, Mac OS, or Linux? I'm more of a in between. For between Mac OS and Linux. I do use a Mac. In fact, I'm recording on a Mac. Um, but I've used Linux before, and I find some of the stuff. Well, to macOS and Linux are based on at their core based on the same stuff, so they are relatively speaking similar. But I think Linux sometimes lacks a little bit of user friendliness that macOS offers you. But still, it's a pretty nice operating system, and can't be mad about that. Question four: spaces or tabs? Tabs. Question five: Emacs or Vim or both? I don't know. On the terminal, on the command line, I mostly use Vim because I'm not quite. I know Emacs, but I'm not as fluent as Vim. Um, coding wise, in terms of text editor, I mostly use VS Code. So I use Vim only if I'm just working with, uh, um, you know, like web server config or like something really short. If it's anything big or more serious, I'll use Visual Studio Code. Last question. What's your dream job? My dream job is actually not a developer. I really like drinking coffee, and my dream job would be, be a coffee planter or like a like professional coffee taster or something like that. So there's that. Um, so hopefully that gives you a little bit more idea of who I am and what sort of person I am. So I want to move on to why I started this podcast. So there are a lot of reasons why you you should opt in for a podcast, and like even if you're not doing it yourself, it's nice if you can join in with others. For myself, I listen to quite a lot of other podcasts as well, both technical and or not, and really just in I just feel I feel a lot of admiration of other podcasters. So how the way they have this very defined system of working, um, and also they have good content every week, or they have consistently rolled out good content to me. I'm sure to very many other people. So I want to be one of them as well. Which leads to my second point. This is a new way for me to sort of give back to the developer community. When I was starting, I had a university education on computer science, but a lot of the stuff that I picked up along the way are taught by just other developers or people from the internet, Stack Overflow and whatnot. So I've been trying to think of ways to sort of give back to the community and help others if I can. I run a technical blog. Well, not really a technical blog. I run a blog where I post semi-technical articles. I used to post non-technical stuff, but I felt it's not as effective as doing a narration or just talk about things, which is why we're starting this podcast. And lastly, it's just one of the ways I feel like it's really, really good to connect with other developers. I have friends that I want them to be, friends which I want to sort of for them to be on the show, and also there are people that I know but haven't known as well. But I think doing a show together will help us sort of connect better, and also to all our listeners, potential listeners. It'll be good to know what others are thinking, or what other developers are experiencing. Maybe it's just it's just nice to know people. I'm a very introverted person, if you can't tell. So meeting people in real life isn't as easy for me as it would be for most people. So this is the way to go, I presume. So I'm gonna move on to the last part, which is what to look forward to in this podcast. So the next episode will be our premiere episode, where we will have a second guest to talk about things. So it won't just be myself. So I have also got a format of the show set up more or less. I think I've got something, sort of a mashup of all the other podcasts I've listened to, and I basically just said, you know what, let's just take the bits I like and put them together, and that'll be my format. So we'll see we might drop bits here and there, and we might add new bits in the future, but you know, this is a work in progress, so we'll see how it goes. So yeah, um, next week, so we'll have a new guest next week or next episode. So we'll talk about an actual topic instead of just me rumbling. And yeah, we'll have some fun. So if you are a developer or you are thinking about getting into software engineering or any sort of IT related jobs, hopefully you can get something out of here, and I hope you will enjoy what we do here. I am certainly having fun, and yeah, we'll see you next week with a new episode.